Jesus. God.
Mr. Miller!
Yeah, I'll be right there.
The year is 1993. The internet is a rumor, a consumer-grade gigabyte drive is a fantasy, and cyber is a prefix Hollywood slaps on anything they want to make sound scary but don't actually understand. Just think AI today. When I say the ghost in the machine, you probably think of the Gilbert Ryle philosophical concept about Cartesian dualism. Or, if you're cool, you think of the seminal anime Ghost in the Shell. Or if your knees are sore for no reason, maybe the Police album of the same name. You almost certainly do not think of the Rachel Talalay-directed box office bomb, where a serial killer turns himself into electricity so he can murder people via their kitchen appliances. But then that's why we need to talk about it. While everyone remembers Jurassic Park changing the game for CGI in 1993, Ghost in the Machine was doing... well, it was doing this.
I got you. I got you nailed.
It's a movie that exists in a very specific, very weird historical window. The moment right before the internet actually took over our lives, when we were terrified of connectivity but didn't know what it looked like yet.
And your name goes to like 17 computers a day.
It asks a brave question. Hey, what if your dishwasher wanted you dead, man? So grab your floppy disks and unplug your landline. We're going to the 90s. This video contains spoilers, so consider watching the film first before you continue. And if you like what you see, click the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to click the little bell to be notified for new videos. This is Carl. Carl is what we in the industry call subtle. He works at a computer store, he hates people, he steals the address books of women who shop there so he can stalk them. In the year of our Lord 2026, we'd call him an incel with a dock spin. In 1993, he was just that weird computer guy that smelled like PB crisps. The inciting incident of this film involves the main character Terry, played by Karen Allen, leaving her physical address book at the store. And this is treated with the same narrative gravity as leaving a loaded gun on a playground. The film posits a horror that feels almost quaint now. The vulnerability of physical data. Carl doesn't hack her cloud. He physically possesses her social network, right in his pocket. He knows where she lives, who she dates, where her kids go to school. All because she wrote it down on paper. Anyway, Carl is on his way to kill her when he gets in a car crash, goes to the hospital, gets put in an MRI during a thunderstorm, and thanks to a convenient power surge, his soul is transferred into the electrical grid by Toby Ziegler. Man, that beard does so much work for Richard Schiff. I'm not even joking. Now, I'm not a physicist, but I'm reasonably sure magnetic resonance imaging doesn't work like a soul-sucking vacuum cleaner. But the movie needs him in the wires, so into the wires he goes. He is now the ghost in the machine. And this is where the movie shifts from a stalker thriller into a bizarre anthology of domestic appliance murders. Karen Allen is slumming it here as Terry Monroe, a single mom just trying to girl boss her way through this wacky world and getting no help from her little shit of a son, Josh. Josh seems like he jumped right out of a Corn Pops commercial with his smug little attitude and impish charm. He's got the lustrous bangs of a kid named Zach, the baseball cap set to 7 o'clock, and his pants are sagging at an 80% success rate. And I would be remiss in not pointing out this totally non-diegetic needle drop when he gets ready to hit on the girl next door. Thank you, Jive Records. Thank you for gifting us with the soundtrack for this film. You truly were gone too soon. Or maybe not soon enough, I don't know. Unfortunately for actor Will Horneff, Edward Furlong would perfect this same basic character in the following year's Brain Scan. Terry also has a guy she's sort of seeing. There doesn't seem to be much chemistry between them, but that doesn't stop Carl the Electrocutioner from trying to kill him. The The central gimmick of the film is what we might call techno-animism. This is the attribution of a soul, or in this case a malevolent will, to inanimate technology. Usually techno-horror focuses on robots or supercomputers. Terminator, HAL 9000. Things that can think. Ghost in the Machine, however, decides that the real threat is the smart home. Decades before smart homes existed. Carl travels through power lines, which, by the way, the movie visualizes as a roller coaster ride through a glow stick factory, and picks off everyone in Terry's address book. First he cranks up a microwave to nuclear levels, cooking a guy's kitchen. He drowns the family dog with a swimming pool cover. So yes, something does happen to the dog, but don't worry about it because they put him in a PET scan machine and he comes right back. Carl also electrocutes the babysitter by turning the dishwasher into Old Sparky. And all of those are fine early 90s post-Freddy Krueger deaths. But then there's the hand dryer. We need to talk about the hand dryer. So here's the setup. The guy Terry has been dating narrowly avoids getting killed in a Rube Goldbergian accident involving a crash test. The poor guy storms off to wash his hands. Guy activates dryer. Now pause. How would you kill someone with a hand dryer? Maybe electrocute them when they hit the button? Maybe the hand dryer explodes into shrapnel? Nah. The movie decides the scariest thing a hand dryer can do is crank up the BTUs to jet engine. It is an admittedly shocking, if incredibly silly moment. And the sad thing is they have to scratch out the corporation's name on the dryer, because you just know some dumbass is watching this thinking, wow, I'm not going to use those anymore. I didn't know that could happen, did you? It is a scene that is trying so hard to be Final Destination, 8 years before Final Destination was a thing, but it lands squarely in Looney Tunes. It begs the question, did the screenwriter ever even use a bathroom? Nah, they committed. They looked at a World Dryer Model A and said, that is an instrument of Satan. But once we all stop laughing at the melty man in the bathroom, there is something actually interesting happening here. The film is obsessed with trying to make the abstract physical. In 1993, we didn't have a visual language for being online. So the movie uses the language of the body. When Carl is in the computer, he can't just be code. He's this weird, pulsating CGI jelly. This touches on the concept in media studies called the uncanny valley, which you've probably heard reserved for robots that look too human. But here we have an uncanny valley of data. The movie tries to give information a body. And the result is goofy and repulsive. It creates a sense of wrongness that actually works in the movie's favor, albeit accidentally. The CGI looks bad to us now, but at the time, this geometric, cold, glitchy aesthetic was genuinely unsettling. It represented a world we couldn't touch, couldn't bargain with, and we couldn't unplug. The horror comes from the invasion of the domestic sphere. The safe space of home is breached not by a guy with a knife, but with the utilities themselves. Yes, the call is coming from inside the house, because that's where the cordless phone is. Carl is in the walls. He's in the outlet. He is in the phone. It's the ultimate paranoia of the connected age. You invite the monster in every time you pay your electric bill. The ending relies on some dubious science, but what else is new? Josh, Terry, and expert hacker Bram, played by a curiously game Chris Mulkey, pull Carl's molecules into the real world and do some sort of magnet thing with I don't know. It makes sense inside the narrative, that's all you need to know. Ghost in the Machine was a critical and commercial failure. It was too silly for the horror crowd and too dumb for the sci-fi crowd. But looking back, it was a premonition. Sort of. Sure, the hand dryer scene is comedy gold. And the idea of a serial killer transferring his soul via MRI is a choice. And even then, they were a few years behind on the idea of an electric serial killer. But the core anxiety, the fear that our information makes us vulnerable, that was spot on. Carl Hockman stealing an address book was just the analog version of a data breach. The movie posits that once you are in the system, you are never safe. We aren't afraid of our dishwasher anymore. We're afraid that our dishwasher asks us for our email address. We're afraid of the algorithm. We're afraid of the ghost in our metadata. Ghost in the Machine tried to warn us that the future was going to be dangerous, invasive, and weird. It just got one thing wrong. The internet didn't need a serial killer to make it a nightmare. We managed that all by ourselves. Stay warm, stay safe, wash your hands, dry them with a paper towel, return your shopping carts, make good choices, and I'll see you next time.
Excuse me, sweetheart. What's the name of that old new dance?
The electric slide.